I thought moving across town would finally give me peace, but I never imagined forgetting one simple text would expose the biggest lie of my relationship. When I finally cut him off, the look on his face wasn't anger, it was pure panic, and that's when I knew.
My name is Ava, and until 6 months ago, I believed Noah was the kind of man people wrote love songs about. He remembered birthdays, opened every door, and somehow made ordinary days feel unforgettable. Everyone said I was lucky, and honestly,
we'd been together for 4 years, building a future one weekend at a time. We talked about buying a house, adopting a golden retriever, and eventually getting married. My parents loved him, my friends trusted him, and I couldn't picture my life without hearing his voice.
Then my company announced a promotion that came with one condition. I had to relocate immediately to another neighborhood almost 40 minutes away. It wasn't far enough to change my life, but it meant packing
Noah offered to help, but every time moving day came closer, something always came up. His boss needed him. His car had problems. His cousin needed a favor. I kept telling myself life happened, yet disappointment quietly replaced it.
Eventually, my brother and 2 close friends moved everything into my new apartment. It wasn't glamorous, but we laughed while carrying boxes upstairs and celebrated with cheap pizza on the living room floor. I realized no one never even asked for my new address during the entire move.
That should have bothered me more than it did. Instead, I convinced myself he'd ask later because we'd both been busy. Relationships survived stressful weeks all the time. At least that's what I kept repeating while staring at my silent phone every single night.
Three days passed before Noah finally called. He apologized for disappearing and blamed another work emergency. Then he casually asked if I wanted to come over Friday night. I laughed because he sounded completely unaware that I no longer...
I almost reminded him, but my friend Olivia interrupted by asking where I wanted the bookshelf. I hung up without mentioning the move. It wasn't intentional. We both forgot, and somehow neither of us brought it up again for another entire week. That's when something strange started happening. Noah kept inviting me to his place, but never suggested coming to mine. Whenever I mentioned being exhausted from unpacking, he changed the subject. It felt like he wanted our relationship frozen inside my old apartment forever. One evening, curiosity got the better of me. I waited to see how long it would take before he realized I'd moved. Every phone call became an experiment. Every conversation gave him another chance. Somehow, he missed every opportunity. 2 weeks later, he texted, "I'm outside." My stomach instantly tightened because there was absolutely no way he could be outside my apartment. I simply replied, "Really?" Less than a minute later, he answered, "Yeah, open the door." I knew exactly where he was standing. He was outside my old building, waiting for someone who no longer lived there. Instead of correcting him, I asked what apartment number he was looking at. His typing bubble appeared, disappeared, then appeared again before stopping completely. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Noah sounded confused, asking why nobody answered the door. I quietly reminded him that I'd moved over 2 weeks earlier. There was a silence so long I wondered whether the call had dropped before he whispered, "Right." I forgot? 4 years together? Endless conversations about packing? Countless complaints about changing addresses? And somehow he'd forgotten? The excuse sounded impossible, but I let it go. Outwardly anyway. Inside, From that day forward, I noticed details I'd ignored before. He never called after 10 at night. Weekend plans always depended on his schedule. He hated surprise visits and insisted we always make plans ahead. Suddenly, those little habits didn't seem random anymore. Olivia finally asked the question I'd been avoiding. Has Noah ever actually invited you to stay overnight lately?
I opened my mouth to answer and realized I couldn't remember the last time it happened. That silence answered more than words ever could. Instead of confronting him immediately, I paid closer attention. Every canceled dinner, every delayed reply, every strange excuse started fitting together like pieces of a puzzle. I wasn't looking for evidence anymore. Somehow, Then, one Saturday afternoon, Noah accidentally sent me a screenshot meant for someone else. He deleted it instantly, but I had already seen enough. At the top of the screen was another conversation pinned above mine, filled with heart emojis and vacation photos I'd never.
When I calmly asked about it later, he smiled like nothing had happened. "She's just a coworker," he said, without hesitation. The explanation came too quickly, almost rehearsed. Instead of feeling reassured, I felt strangely calm, and that frightened me more than anger ever could. I decided not to argue, because lies usually become louder when nobody interrupts them. For another week, I acted completely normal. We laughed together, had dinner, and talked about future vacations, while I quietly accepted that
Then, everything changed because of one unexpected phone call. My old landlord called, asking if I'd accidentally left a package behind. Apparently, someone had been stopping by regularly, asking whether I'd moved back. That someone wasn't Noah. It was
She introduced herself as Noah's girlfriend and insisted I must have returned without telling anyone. My landlord, completely confused, explained I'd officially moved weeks earlier. Hearing those words from a stranger made.
Instead of crying, I thanked my landlord and asked one question. Did she seem surprised? He laughed awkwardly before saying, "Honestly, she looked like she'd just discovered something she wasn't supposed to know." My heart sank, because neither of us knew the full truth.
That evening, Noah called, acting unusually cheerful. He asked if we could celebrate our anniversary early because he'd planned something special. Listening to him describe a romantic dinner while knowing another woman existed felt.
I agreed to meet him, but made one decision before leaving my apartment. No matter what happened, I wasn't going to argue, scream, or beg for explanations. I wanted honesty, and if honesty refused to appear, silence would become my answer instead. Dinner started perfectly. Candlelight reflected across the table, while Noah smiled exactly the way he always had. Then he reached across the table and apologized for forgetting my move, calling it the biggest mistake he'd made recently. I almost believed him again. Before I could respond, his phone lit up beside his plate. He grabbed it too late. Across the screen appeared one message. "Did you find out where she moved?" He turned pale so quickly it looked like every drop of blood disappeared at once. I didn't yell. I simply asked who needed my address so badly. Noah stared at the message, then at me, unable to create another believable excuse. For the first time since we'd met, silence completely defeated him before I ever raised my. He admitted another woman believed they'd been dating for nearly 2 years. He'd kept us separated by carefully controlling where and when we met. My move destroyed that system, because suddenly neither of us fit into the life he'd carefully constructed. The reason he'd panicked outside my old apartment had nothing to do with forgetting. He needed my address because the other woman demanded proof I existed. She thought I was imaginary. Ironically, he spent weeks trying to prove I was real without letting me know why. I looked at him and realized I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was exhausted. 4 years of memories suddenly felt heavier than every moving box I'd carried. I quietly stood, wished him the life he'd created for himself, and walked. He followed me into the parking lot begging for another chance. He promised therapy, honesty, and complete transparency.
I listened politely before saying one sentence that instantly ended every excuse. "You didn't lose me today. You lost me the day honesty." Then I blocked his number before driving away. Within hours, mutual friends started calling because Noah claimed I overreacted after one misunderstanding. I never defended myself. People who truly cared asked questions first, and eventually every lie he...
A month later, I received one unexpected message from the other woman. She apologized for unknowingly becoming part of the deception. We talked for hours, comparing stories that matched almost perfectly. Neither of us had been foolish. Today, my apartment finally feels like home. Every box is unpacked. Every room holds peace instead of memories. And every morning reminds me that leaving wasn't my greatest loss. It was my greatest rescue. Sometimes forgetting to tell someone your new address. If this story reminded you to trust your instincts, don't ignore the small red flags that keep asking for your attention. Sometimes the truth arrives through the smallest mistake imaginable. Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below, because your story might help someone else find the courage to walk away.